Imagine waking up in a world where every sound could kill you. Where the forest around you isn't just trees, it's a living trap, hiding venomous snakes, malaria-carrying mosquitoes, and neighbors who might see you as prey. No walls protect you. No doctor. No escape. This is not a survival show, it's not a video game. This is the daily life of the Yanomami, one of the last uncontacted tribes of the Amazon rainforest. In the next story, you're going to experience their world as if you were dropped right into it. You'll see the beauty, the danger, and the shocking reality of living in one of the most isolated places on Earth. By the end, you'll understand why not a single outsider could last even one day here without training, instincts, and an iron will. Brace yourself. The forest is alive, and it's watching you. Hello. Welcome to my channel. Before we start, it's a good idea to go to bed and relax. I also want to ask you to subscribe to my channel, like it and write in the comments where you are from and what time it is. Using the link in the description you can support me. Thank you. Sweet dreams. From the first step into the dense greenery, the air feels thick, almost suffocating. The forest is alive, humming with insects, birds, and the distant cries of monkeys swinging overhead. At first, it seems serene. A soft rustle of leaves, shafts of sunlight piercing the canopy, but serenity is a dangerous illusion here. The Yanomami have learned to read every movement, every shadow, because survival depends on attention to the smallest detail. Snakes coil silently among the roots, camouflaged in patterns only visible to the trained eye. Some are venomous, capable of killing a human in minutes. Mosquitoes are more than a nuisance, they are vectors for malaria, carrying disease with every bite. And then there are the other dangers, the human ones. The Yanomami are protective of their territory, and outsiders are treated with suspicion. You step on the wrong path, make the wrong noise, and you could provoke conflict before you even realize it. Every day is a careful balance of risk and reward. Food must be hunted or gathered from a forest that wants to kill you, water found in streams teeming with parasites. Yet, despite the danger, there is a rhythm here. The Yanomami move with purpose and precision, each member trained from birth to read the forest as if it were a map of their own home. And you? You are utterly unprepared. The first lesson hits you within hours: silence is survival. A snapped twig or a loud cough can announce your presence to predators or enemies. Your skin itches from insect bites, your feet slip in the mud, and every shadow seems alive. The forest is watching, and it knows you are an outsider. As the first day unfolds, you quickly realize that your senses are inadequate for this world. The forest isn't just a backdrop, it's a predator, a puzzle, and a prison all at once. You try to follow the Yanomami through the tangled undergrowth, but every step feels like a misstep. Roots twist beneath your feet, branches scratch your arms and face, and the humidity presses down like a wet blanket. You think you see a bird in the canopy, but when you blink, it has vanished, replaced by a snake slithering silently along a branch. The Yanomami move as if they are part of the forest itself. They step lightly over logs, never breaking branches, never rustling leaves. Every glance and gesture seems deliberate, almost ritualistic, but it is all survival instinct honed over generations. They point to an edible plant, and suddenly the forest becomes less threatening, its dangers transformed into resources. You, on the other hand, can only watch and marvel. Each plant you touch could conceal danger, spines, irritating sap, or insects that bite and sting. By mid-morning, the first bites arrive. Mosquitoes swarm relentlessly, and you scratch and swat in vain. The Yanomami whisper about fever, chills, and malaria, common here, potentially deadly for outsiders. Every irritation carries weight, every itch is a warning. Then comes the moment that drives home the danger: you stumble across a coiled snake, hidden beneath leaves. Its black and gold scales shimmer in the sunlight. Your heart races as you freeze. A Yanomami hunter approaches silently, crouches, and with a swift motion, captures the snake bare-handed. You are amazed, horrified, and terrified all at once. What seems impossible to you is routine for him. Food gathering presents its own challenges. The Yanomami harvest fruits, roots, and insects with precise knowledge. Some fruits are safe, others can poison in moments. They sniff, taste, and inspect everything, each action deliberate. You pick a root hesitantly, tasting it, and your stomach churns. The Yanomami laugh gently, more amused than cruel, and offer guidance, but the lesson is clear: ignorance in the forest can be fatal. As the sun climbs, the sounds of the forest intensify. Birds cry warnings, monkeys chatter, and insects hum constantly. Somewhere nearby, a wild pig rustles through underbrush, and the Yanomami track it with practiced eyes. Hunting is survival, not sport. They use blowpipes with astonishing accuracy, while you fumble and miss. The forest seems to mock your inexperience. By late afternoon, fatigue sets in. Your muscles ache, sweat soaks your clothes, and your body struggles to keep pace. The Yanomami endure this every day, often carrying children, tools, and supplies. You feel panic rising. If this is only the first day, how could anyone survive here without training or instinct? Then danger reminds you it is never absent. A sudden rustle makes you spin. Monkeys scatter, revealing a jaguar slipping through the underbrush. Its spotted coat blends perfectly with shadows. The Yanomami remain calm, but you are paralyzed with fear. The jaguar glances at you, sniffs, and disappears. You exhale shakily, realizing that the line between life and death here is frighteningly thin. As dusk approaches, you reach the Yanomami village. Simple huts made from palm leaves radiate communal energy. Fires burn low, children play under watchful eyes, and smoke curls into the sky. Relief washes over you, safety for the night, but the lessons of the day linger. Every scratch, bite, and rustle has reminded you, this forest is alive, and merciless to the unprepared. Your first day ends not with triumph, but with a profound humbling. The Yanomami are not merely surviving, they are thriving in an environment that would kill any outsider. As you lie in the hut, listening to nocturnal cries, you know tomorrow the forest will teach you even more, and it will be unforgiving. Night in the Amazon rainforest is unlike anything you have ever experienced. The forest transforms into a living, breathing entity. The sounds change. What was background noise during the day becomes a symphony of life and danger. Insects drone incessantly, frogs croak in rhythmic patterns, and somewhere in the distance, the eerie howl of a nocturnal predator cuts through the humid air. You lie in the hut, trying to convince yourself that the walls of palm leaves offer safety, but you know instinctively that the forest has no respect for human boundaries. Sleep is elusive. Every creak of timber, every rustle of leaves, triggers a surge of adrenaline. Your body, exhausted from the day, wants to rest, but your mind refuses to quiet. You imagine the snakes and spiders weaving through the shadows, your skin crawling with unseen insects. The Yanomami, however, sleep lightly, their senses tuned to the slightest disturbance. One flick of an eye, a subtle gesture, and they respond to threats that you would not even perceive. Their world is one of constant vigilance. Morning arrives in a misty haze. Dew clings to the leaves, and the forest is slick and treacherous. You rise with aching muscles and a sense of dread. Today, the Yanomami tell you, will be about water and hunting. Every step you take must be measured. Streams are not merely a source of hydration, they are potential traps. Some are teeming with parasites, others hide snakes, piranhas, or hidden roots that can trip you into a whirlpool of mud and water. You follow a young hunter, noticing how he places his feet precisely, how his eyes scan every shadow, every ripple in the water. One misstep, and you could be injured, or worse. As the group moves toward the stream, the forest seems to shift around you. A sudden rustle to your left makes you spin, heart pounding. A venomous viper slides along the forest floor, perfectly camouflaged in brown leaves. You freeze, helpless, as the hunter calmly approaches, using a stick to gently redirect it away. It's a subtle reminder, the forest is unforgiving, and danger is everywhere, even in motionless stillness. At the stream, the hunter demonstrates how to collect water safely. Leaves are folded to create a natural funnel, and water is filtered through sand and stones. You attempt the same, fumbling, spilling half of it. The Yanomami observe quietly, a mixture of amusement and patience in their eyes. Then comes the hunt. You follow them through narrow pathways and dense foliage, tracking small game. They use blowpipes with pinpoint accuracy, felling birds and rodents with lethal efficiency. You try to mimic them, but your darts either miss or bounce harmlessly off bark. Every failed attempt underscores your inadequacy in this world. Hunger gnaws at you, but you are forced to wait. The Yanomami teach patience, how to read the forest, how to understand the habits of animals, how to anticipate danger while gathering food. You observe a monkey raid, a jaguar track, and even insects that serve as sustenance. Slowly, you begin to understand that survival here is not about brute strength, it is about knowledge, patience, and instinct. By mid-afternoon, the forest grows heavier with humidity and the threat of rain. Insects swarm relentlessly. A sudden downpour begins, drenching you in moments. Mud clings to your legs, and visibility drops. The Yanomami move seamlessly, seemingly unbothered by the rain, navigating slippery roots and hidden pitfalls. You struggle, slipping, catching yourself on vines, and cursing under your breath. Every step is a test of balance, endurance, and focus. Even in the rain, the forest does not relent. The patter of droplets masks the approach of a jaguar stalking nearby. You catch only a fleeting glimpse of its golden eyes in the undergrowth before it vanishes. The Yanomami, sensing it moments before, have already moved silently, positioning themselves between you and danger. You feel both awe and terror. They are alive in this forest in a way you could never be, you are merely a fragile, vulnerable intruder. By evening, you arrive back at the village, soaked, exhausted, and humbled. The huts appear welcoming, yet you know the night will bring new lessons, new dangers. The forest does not forgive. You have survived, but barely. And as you watch the Yanomami move effortlessly among their people, preparing food, tending children, and repairing huts, you realize that life here is not measured in comfort or ease, but in knowledge, vigilance, and adaptability. Your second day in the rainforest has revealed more than danger, it has revealed the depth of human resilience. The Yanomami thrive in conditions that would kill you instantly. And as night falls once more, you understand, surviving even a single day in this world is a monumental challenge, and you are only beginning to scratch the surface. The third night in the rainforest brings a new kind of fear. The darkness feels thicker, almost tangible, pressing in from all sides. Your eyes strain to see past the faint glow of the fires in the Yanomami village. The forest outside the hut seems alive, whispering, shifting, and waiting. Every rustle of leaves or snap of a twig sends your heart racing. You realize that at any moment, a predator, human or animal, could emerge, and your body tenses in response, trained by fear rather than instinct. Morning arrives with a heavy, oppressive heat. Today's lesson is about movement, how to navigate the forest without alerting prey, predators, or even other humans. The Yanomami split into groups, each with a specific task, some hunt, some gather, others scout the perimeter. You are assigned to follow a middle-aged hunter named Turi, whose calm confidence makes your panic feel almost absurd. He moves with an elegance that borders on invisibility, stepping lightly, scanning constantly, and whispering instructions you barely catch. Every word, every gesture, carries survival knowledge you've never imagined. Within an hour, you stumble into a trap for small animals, partially hidden by leaves. Turi shows you how it works, explaining the mechanics with a simplicity that belies its danger. You fumble to reset it, your fingers shaking, and Turi barely conceals his amusement. One wrong move, and you could have triggered the trap on yourself. It's a small reminder that even seemingly trivial mistakes have consequences here. The forest teaches relentlessly. You notice how the birds' calls indicate movement nearby, how insects swarm in specific patterns before rainfall, and how certain plants mark fertile ground or dangerous soil. Turi stops frequently, pointing out subtle signs that you would have missed entirely: a bent branch marking a jaguar's path, a cluster of mushrooms that can poison, a snake's skin draped over a vine as camouflage. You feel increasingly like an intruder stumbling through a complex world you barely understand. By midday, the group reaches a river. The water is dark and swirling, full of unseen hazards. Turi demonstrates how to cross safely, using balance, timing, and knowledge of currents. You follow hesitantly, slipping and almost plunging into the water more than once. The forest laughs silently at your ineptitude. On the far bank, you see a cluster of fruiting trees, but you are warned: some fruits carry toxic seeds, others attract predators. You pick carefully, following Turi's instructions to the letter, feeling the tension of every decision pressing down on you. Suddenly, a scream pierces the forest, a human scream. You freeze. Turi motions for silence and leads you toward the sound. Through the underbrush, you see a neighboring group of Yanomami in conflict with a rogue hunter. There is shouting, throwing of spears, and tension so thick it feels almost physical. You realize that danger is not only from the forest itself but from humans who also survive by their wits and strength. A misstep in judgment, a misinterpreted glance, and outsiders can become targets. The conflict ends quickly, but the lesson remains: vigilance is never optional. As afternoon stretches into evening, exhaustion settles into your bones. You have been hiking, hunting, gathering, and learning for hours under a sun that shows no mercy. Every muscle aches, your skin is raw from insect bites and branches, and your lungs burn from the humid air. Yet, Turi moves effortlessly, never faltering, always alert. The disparity between you and him underscores the harsh reality: survival here is not about endurance alone. It is about instinct honed over years of immersion, a deep understanding of a world that refuses to forgive ignorance. By dusk, the group returns to the village. The fires are warm, the huts familiar, but the forest outside remains a constant, silent threat. You are dirty, bruised, exhausted, and utterly humbled. Sitting among the Yanomami, you realize that each day is a test, and survival is not guaranteed. Even in the safety of the village, you are reminded that the forest never sleeps, and neither can those who wish to survive. As night falls, you lie awake, listening to the rainforest's symphony of life and death. You understand now that this world does not tolerate weakness or complacency. You have survived 3 days, barely, but the forest is already preparing its next lesson, one that will challenge everything you thought you knew about danger, fear, and resilience. The 4th day begins before sunrise. The forest is shrouded in mist, and the air is thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. You wake with a stiff neck and aching muscles, every joint protesting the strain of the past days. The Yanomami, however, move with purpose, seemingly refreshed, their senses attuned to the rhythm of the forest. You quickly realize that exhaustion in your body is compounded by exhaustion in your mind. Every decision carries weight, every movement is a potential risk. Today's lesson is tracking. You follow Turi and a small group of hunters deeper into the jungle. The canopy is dense, sunlight barely reaching the forest floor. Roots and vines form natural obstacles, twisting underfoot and catching your hands and feet with relentless persistence. You stumble, slip, and curse under your breath, acutely aware that one careless movement could result in injury or worse. Every misstep feels amplified in this environment, and you quickly learn humility in the face of nature. The hunters pause frequently, crouching low, eyes scanning the terrain. They point to subtle clues: a bent leaf, a broken twig, a crushed patch of moss. You struggle to see the patterns, the hints the forest leaves behind. Turi bends down, picks up a small footprint, and explains: it belongs to a peccary. A few meters away, the animal rests in the shade. Tracking is not instinct alone, it is knowledge, patience, and attention to the smallest details. You try to mimic him, but your eyes miss the obvious, and your footsteps betray you, alerting the prey. Turi sighs quietly but does not chastise you. Instead, he demonstrates again: a silent teacher in a classroom of green. Hours pass in this painstaking pursuit. The humidity presses down on you, insects swarm relentlessly, and every shadow feels alive. You wipe sweat from your brow and feel the bites of mosquitoes multiplying across your exposed skin. You recall the warnings of the Yanomami about malaria and realize how vulnerable you are. Each step is calculated, yet you are painfully aware that your lack of experience makes you easy prey for both the forest and its predators. By midday, the group reaches a small clearing. Turi demonstrates how to set snares and traps, using vines, branches, and sharpened sticks. You fumble, your hands clumsy and slow. One vine snaps, sending a sharp sting across your fingers. You wince and curse quietly. The Yanomami laughs softly, not mockingly, but with the gentle humor of those who know the forest's lessons cannot be learned without trial and error. You realize that each minor failure here could have consequences far beyond a bruise. In a real survival scenario, mistakes could be fatal. Hunting continues. A bird flits from branch to branch, and Turi readies his blowpipe. His aim is perfect, the dart finds its mark instantly. You try to follow, but your dart falls short, bouncing harmlessly off bark. The forest seems to mock your inexperience, and you feel frustration and fear intertwine. Hunger gnaws at you, yet you are forbidden to eat until the group deems it safe. You begin to understand that survival is not only about strength but discipline, patience, and understanding the rules of a world far older and more precise than you. By late afternoon, rain begins to fall in sheets, drenching the forest and making every step more treacherous. Mud clings to your legs and clothes, streams swell unpredictably, and every slope becomes a potential hazard. Turi moves effortlessly, balancing, leaping, and guiding younger hunters, while you slide, stumble, and struggle to keep pace. Your muscles scream, your skin itches from insect bites, and your lungs burn from exertion, yet the forest does not relent. Each moment is a lesson in endurance, vigilance, and humility. As the sun dips low, the group returns to the village, soaked, exhausted, and humbled. The huts offer shelter, but you know that safety is relative. The forest does not sleep, and neither can those who wish to survive within its bounds. Sitting by the fire, you watch the Yanomami prepare food, tend children, and repair shelters, their movements calm, practiced, and precise. You are a stranger in a world that would claim you without hesitation. The fourth day ends not with triumph, but with the sobering realization that the forest is a living, breathing teacher. Every bite, scratch, and slip is a reminder, you are an outsider, fragile and untrained. Surviving even a single day here is a monumental challenge, and the deeper you go, the harsher the lessons become. And as night falls, the rainforest awakens, ready to teach again, indifferent to your fears, your fatigue, and your mistakes. The fifth day begins with an almost tangible tension in the air. Overnight, the forest has shifted, fallen trees and thickened vines create obstacles where there were none before. You wake sore, your body battered from previous days, but there is no time for rest. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, their movements fluid and precise, as if the forest itself bends to their will. You, in contrast, feel clumsy, exposed, and painfully aware of every weakness. Today's lesson is about snakes. The Yanomami explain that some are deadly, others harmless, but none can be ignored. They teach you to read subtle signs, the slight shimmer of scales beneath leaves, the coiling shapes hidden among roots, the faint hissing sound carried on the wind. Your heart pounds as you scan the forest floor, realizing that one wrong step could bring venomous death in moments. Turi demonstrates a careful way to dislodge snakes with a stick, removing a viper from a path without harm. Your hands tremble as you attempt the same, fumbling and almost striking your own leg. He chuckles softly, shaking his head, and gently corrects your posture. After the snake lesson, the group moves to a hunting ground. Today, Turi emphasizes patience and observation. You crouch for hours, muscles cramping, back aching, trying to mimic the subtle shifts of the hunters. Small rodents and birds flit around, and every movement is an opportunity, or a threat. You miss every chance, your darts falling short or bouncing harmlessly away. The forest seems to mock your inexperience, and a sense of despair begins to creep in. The Yanomami, however, remain calm, encouraging you silently with their presence rather than words. The humidity is suffocating, and mosquitoes relentlessly attack every exposed patch of skin. You swat, scratch, and curse, but the swarm does not relent. You remember their warnings about malaria, and the tiny bites that seem insignificant begin to feel like threats. Survival here is about vigilance in even the smallest details. A momentary lapse, a scratch unnoticed, could escalate into a dangerous illness. By midday, rain begins, turning the forest floor into slippery mud. Streams swell unpredictably, forcing careful navigation. Turi crosses a narrow log over a rushing current effortlessly, while you wobble, nearly plunging in. The river seems alive, testing your balance, patience, and fear simultaneously. Each misstep is a reminder, the forest does not forgive mistakes lightly. Suddenly, a flash of motion catches your eye, a jaguar, its golden eyes fixed on the group from the underbrush. You freeze, paralyzed with fear. The Yanomami respond instantly, shifting subtly, positioning themselves between you and danger. The predator watches for a tense moment, then melts back into the shadows. You exhale shakily, realizing that life here is measured not just in action, but in understanding and respect for the world around you. As the afternoon drags on, you practice foraging under Turi's guidance. He shows you which plants are safe to eat, which roots can be boiled, and which insects provide protein without risk. Every plant, every leaf, carries a lesson. You taste cautiously, learning to trust the Yanomami's expertise. A minor mistake, a misidentified fruit, could be fatal, but the forest allows you to survive for now. By evening, the group returns to the village. You are soaked, covered in mud, and utterly exhausted. Sitting by the fire, watching the Yanomami tend children, repair huts, and prepare food, you realize how fragile your presence in this world is. Survival is not guaranteed, it is earned every moment through skill, attention, and instinct. Night falls, and with it comes the sounds of the rainforest, frogs croaking, insects droning, distant howls of predators. Sleep is uneasy, punctuated by sudden movements outside the hut. You understand now that the forest never rests, and neither can those who wish to survive. The fifth day has shown you danger, endurance, and humility, and you know the lessons are only growing harsher. The sixth day begins under a gray, oppressive sky. Overnight, heavy rain has fallen, leaving the forest slick, muddy, and treacherous. You wake exhausted, muscles still sore from previous days, and the thought of navigating wet terrain sends a shiver down your spine. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, moving with the confidence of those who have known this forest all their lives. Every gesture is fluid, every step precise. You, in contrast, feel clumsy, vulnerable, and painfully aware of how easily the forest could claim you if you falter. Today's lesson is survival under extreme conditions. The group moves toward a hunting ground deep in the rainforest, where predators roam freely and food is scarce. You follow Turi, who shows you how to read the environment even in poor visibility. Every leaf, every broken twig, every subtle indentation in the soil conveys information. You try to mimic him, but your eyes miss the smallest cues, and your footsteps betray your presence repeatedly. The rain intensifies as you trudge through dense undergrowth. Streams swell, roots become slippery, and hidden vines threaten to trip you at every step. Turi moves with ease, balancing across mud-covered logs, ducking under hanging branches, and guiding younger hunters. Your attempts to follow leave you soaked, scratched, and thoroughly exhausted. The forest seems to laugh silently at your struggles. In the heart of the jungle, the group halts. Turi points to a patch of disturbed soil. It is a sign of peccaries, a valuable food source. He whispers instructions on approaching without alerting the animals. Every movement must be silent, deliberate, and calculated. You crouch, muscles trembling, heart pounding. The forest is alive with movement and sound, every rustle could signal prey, or a predator watching you instead. A wrong step could provoke a jaguar or venomous snake. Hours pass with painstaking observation. You watch as the Yanomami track, aim, and hunt with precision you cannot hope to match. Birds flit from branch to branch, rodents scurry across the forest floor, and insects swarm in patterns you cannot interpret. Your attempts at catching prey are clumsy and ineffective. Every failure is a reminder that survival here is not about luck or effort alone, it is about knowledge, intuition, and respect for the forest. By midday, the rain eases, leaving the forest steaming, humid, and full of scent. Turi demonstrates how to gather safe fruits, roots, and insects. Each choice is deliberate, some plants provide nourishment, others bring sickness or death. You taste cautiously, grateful for the guidance, yet painfully aware that one mistake could be fatal. The forest is forgiving only to those who understand its rules. As afternoon approaches, distant cries alert the group to a rival Yanomami clan nearby. Conflict is avoided through subtle signals, but the tension is palpable. You feel the precariousness of human life here, not only must you contend with natural predators and disease, but also with human conflicts over territory and resources. One misstep, one wrong glance, could make you a target. The forest and its people are ruthless teachers, leaving no room for error. By evening, the group returns to the village, exhausted but triumphant. The huts provide shelter and warmth, but the forest beyond is a constant, silent threat. You are soaked, covered in mud and insect bites, and painfully aware of your fragility in this environment. Watching the Yanomami prepare food, care for children, and repair their dwellings, you realize that survival is not a matter of strength alone, it is endurance, knowledge, patience, and respect for every living thing around you. Night falls once more, bringing the symphony of the rainforest, frogs croaking, insects droning, predators calling in the distance. Sleep is uneasy. Every sound makes your heart race. You understand now that surviving a single day is a challenge, surviving several requires skill, instinct, and humility. And the forest, alive with danger, is only beginning to test your limits. The seventh day begins with an unsettling silence. The usual chorus of insects and birds is subdued, replaced by the occasional drip of water from dense leaves and the rustle of unseen creatures. You wake stiff and bruised, every movement a painful reminder of the previous days. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, as if the forest itself flows through them. Their eyes scan the surroundings constantly, and you feel exposed, knowing that your clumsy movements could attract unwanted attention. Today's lesson is about dangerous encounters, both animal and human. Turi leads you to a narrow, muddy path, warning that venomous snakes are common here, often hiding under leaves or in low vegetation. Every step you take feels perilous, roots twist underfoot, vines tangle around your legs, and the humidity clings to your skin. A sharp hiss startles you, and your eyes catch a glimpse of a black and gold serpent slithering silently through the underbrush. Turi kneels, motions calmly, and gently coaxes it aside with a stick. Your heart races as you try to mimic his careful technique, fumbling and nearly touching the snake. You feel the weight of vulnerability with a clarity that is almost unbearable. Moving deeper into the forest, you encounter your first major hunting lesson. The group tracks a small herd of peccaries through dense undergrowth. Turi whispers instructions on silent movement, observation, and patience. You crouch, muscles trembling, sweat running down your back, and try to follow without making a sound. One wrong step sends a twig snapping beneath your foot, and the animals bolt instantly. Turi casts a quick glance, a mixture of amusement and patience in his eyes, before demonstrating the correct way to approach. Your repeated failures are humbling. Survival here is not earned through strength alone, but through knowledge and instinct. By midday, the forest becomes oppressive with heat and humidity. Mosquitoes swarm mercilessly, biting exposed skin despite your attempts to swat them away. You recall warnings about malaria and feel a creeping anxiety, every irritation could be dangerous. Turi moves through the environment as if it were an extension of his body, scanning for predators, prey, and potential hazards. You realize how far behind you are in understanding this ecosystem, and a shiver of dread runs through you. The group pauses by a stream, a lifeline in the dense jungle. Turi demonstrates how to safely collect water and find hidden pools that are free of parasites. You fumble, spilling water and nearly slipping into the current. Every misstep reminds you that the forest tests not only your body but your mind. Even small mistakes can have severe consequences. Suddenly, movement catches your eye, a jaguar slinking silently through the underbrush, its golden eyes fixed on the group. You freeze, heart pounding. The Yanomami respond instinctively, positioning themselves and ensuring you are shielded. The predator watches for moments before disappearing into the shadows. You exhale shakily, understanding for the first time the real weight of danger in this forest. As the afternoon stretches on, Turi teaches you how to gather safe fruits, roots, and insects for sustenance. Every decision is deliberate, one wrong choice could be fatal. The forest is a teacher that does not forgive ignorance. You taste cautiously, grateful for guidance but acutely aware of the stakes. By evening, the group returns to the village, soaked in sweat and mud, exhausted, and humbled. Fires burn low, huts provide temporary refuge, and the forest beyond remains an ever-present threat. You watch the Yanomami care for children, prepare food, and repair their homes, their movements calm, deliberate, and precise. You are a fragile intruder in a world that could claim you with a single mistake. Night descends once more. The rainforest comes alive with distant cries, droning insects, and the rustle of unseen predators. Sleep is uneasy, punctuated by every sound. You have survived another day, barely, and the lessons are growing harder. You know now that life in the forest is a relentless test of endurance, observation, and humility, and the forest is far from finished with you. The 8th day begins before sunrise, the forest cloaked in dense mist. The air is thick with humidity, clinging to your skin and weighing on your lungs. Every step is a challenge, mud and slippery roots make each movement treacherous. You wake exhausted, sore, and painfully aware of the fragility of your body in this environment. The Yanomami, however, move with fluid confidence, scanning the surroundings with practiced ease. Their eyes miss nothing, and you feel exposed, knowing that your clumsy movements could attract both predators and danger from rival humans. Today's lesson is about the delicate balance of hunting and caution. Turi leads the group to a section of the forest where prey is abundant, but so are predators. He whispers instructions on silent movement, careful observation, and anticipating the behavior of both animals and humans. You crouch low, muscles trembling, attempting to move without making a sound. One wrong step snaps a twig beneath your foot, and a bird explodes from the branches above. Turi casts a brief, amused glance and gestures for you to watch closely. Every movement you make is a lesson in patience and precision, survival demands nothing less. Hours pass with painstaking tracking. You watch the Yanomami identify subtle signs, broken leaves that mark an animal's path, crushed moss indicating recent movement, and faint paw prints pressed into the damp soil. You try to interpret these clues, but your inexperience is glaring. A misplaced step alerts a nearby jaguar, which freezes for a moment, golden eyes glowing through the undergrowth, before melting silently back into the shadows. The forest reminds you again that danger is never far, and your awareness must match the vigilance of the people around you. By midday, the oppressive heat and humidity intensify. Mosquitoes swarm relentlessly, biting every exposed patch of skin. The Yanomami are unaffected, moving seamlessly and silently, their bodies tuned to the rhythms of the forest. You itch, scratch, and curse quietly, feeling every bite as a potential threat. Malaria, fever, infection, these are not abstract dangers here. The forest is alive with threats, and even small missteps could escalate into life-threatening situations. Turi shows you how to forage safely, identifying edible roots, fruits, and insects. One mistaken identification could be fatal. You taste cautiously, grateful for guidance, yet painfully aware that ignorance in this world carries weight. The forest teaches through observation, trial, and error, but errors are dangerous. You learn quickly that survival is not about speed or brute strength, but about patience, respect, and careful decision-making. In the afternoon, a new challenge arises. The river you must cross has swelled from recent rains. Currents are unpredictable, logs are slick, and every step is perilous. Turi crosses effortlessly, balancing and leaping with precision, while you struggle to follow. Mud clings to your legs, water splashes your face, and your heart races with each precarious movement. You realize that even a simple task like crossing a river is fraught with risk in this environment. Later, the group pauses near a fruiting tree. Turi demonstrates how to gather safely while remaining alert for predators. You follow his instructions, tasting cautiously, noting which plants attract insects or signal the presence of snakes nearby. Every decision is calculated. You begin to understand that the Yanomami thrive because they have learned to read the forest as a map, a guide, and a warning system all at once. By evening, the group returns to the village, drenched, exhausted, and humbled. Fires burn low, and the huts offer temporary safety, but the forest remains alive with unseen threats. You are a fragile outsider in a world where survival is earned through knowledge, patience, and instinct. Sitting among the Yanomami, observing their calm efficiency in preparing food, caring for children, and repairing homes, you realize how unprepared you are for the daily rigor of life here. Night descends, bringing the symphony of the rainforest. Frogs croak, insects drone, and distant predators stir in the darkness. Sleep is uneasy, every sound makes your heart race. You have survived another day, barely, and the forest is already preparing new lessons, more dangerous, more intricate, and far more demanding. The ninth day begins with a low, ominous hum in the forest. Rain has fallen overnight, leaving the soil slick and the undergrowth heavy. You wake stiff and sore, every joint aching from previous exertion. Even standing feels like a challenge. The Yanomami rise easily, their bodies moving with fluid grace through the tangled greenery. Their eyes scan every shadow, every leaf, every movement. You feel exposed, knowing that your clumsy steps could reveal your presence to predators, snakes, or even rival humans. Today's lesson is about the forest's hidden dangers and the delicate balance of human and animal territories. Turi leads the group toward a hunting ground where prey is plentiful but so are threats. He whispers instructions on movement, observation, and listening to the subtle cues of the forest. Each step you take feels weighted with consequence. Roots twist like snakes beneath your feet, vines catch at your clothes, and every rustle in the undergrowth sends a jolt of panic through your body. One wrong move could invite a snake strike, a jaguar attack, or a slip into a hidden stream. Hours pass as you attempt to follow Turi, crouched low, muscles burning. You watch him identify subtle signs, broken branches, crushed leaves, faint footprints. Every gesture conveys knowledge accumulated over generations. You try to mimic him, but your mistakes are frequent and costly. A twig snaps beneath your foot, and a nearby bird explodes from its perch. Turi casts a calm glance, sighs quietly, and demonstrates again, silently teaching patience and precision. Survival here is about more than strength, it is about observation, anticipation, and instinct. By midday, the forest's humidity presses down with suffocating intensity. Mosquitoes swarm relentlessly, biting every inch of exposed skin. You swat and scratch, but the swarm persists. You remember the Yanomami warnings about malaria and realize how vulnerable you are. Each irritation, each tiny bite, is a reminder that life here depends on vigilance and caution. The group pauses at a swollen river, its waters churning from overnight rains. Turi demonstrates how to cross using balance and precision. You follow hesitantly, slipping multiple times, your muscles trembling, and nearly falling into the turbulent current. Every movement requires concentration, and the forest watches silently, testing your resolve. Survival depends not only on physical skill but on mental focus under extreme conditions. Later, the group encounters signs of another Yanomami clan nearby. Conflict is avoided through subtle movements and silent communication, but tension crackles in the air. You feel the precariousness of human life in this environment. Predators are not limited to animals, other humans with competing claims add a dangerous layer of complexity. One wrong glance or poorly timed step could provoke violence. The forest has rules, and you are an untrained outsider in a world governed by subtle cues and generations of knowledge. By late afternoon, the group reaches a fruiting tree. Turi demonstrates careful gathering techniques, teaching you which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which signal hidden predators. Each decision feels critical. You taste cautiously, noting every sign, every subtle warning. You begin to understand that the Yanomami thrive because they have learned to read the forest as both guide and threat. As evening falls, the group returns to the village, drenched, exhausted, and humbled. Fires burn low, huts provide shelter, but the forest beyond remains alive, full of hidden dangers. Watching the Yanomami tend children, repair homes, and prepare food with practiced ease, you are painfully aware of how unprepared you are for life here. Night descends. Frogs croak, insects drone, predators call in the distance. Sleep is uneasy, every rustle makes your heart race. You have survived another day, but the lessons are growing harsher. The forest tests endurance, observation, patience, and humility, and tomorrow promises new challenges, more dangerous and unforgiving than ever. The 10th day dawns heavy with humidity, the forest thick and suffocating. Overnight, the rain has left the ground slick and treacherous, roots twisting like snakes beneath your feet. You wake with aching muscles, stiff joints, and a growing sense of dread. Every step feels precarious, every movement deliberate. The Yanomami, however, rise effortlessly, moving with fluid grace, their senses attuned to dangers you cannot yet perceive. They read the forest like a living map, while you struggle to keep pace, painfully aware of your fragility. Today's lesson is the forest's invisible threats. Turi leads the group through dense undergrowth, pointing out subtle cues, a barely noticeable coil of scales under leaves, a patch of disturbed earth marking a hidden animal den, a faint scent carried on the humid wind. You are hyper-aware, heart racing at every rustle, imagining snakes, jaguars, or even rival hunters hidden in the shadows. One false step could end your life. The forest is merciless. As the morning progresses, Turi demonstrates the precision required to hunt in this environment. He crouches, eyes scanning for the slightest movement. A peccary snuffles in the undergrowth, oblivious to the hunters approaching silently. You attempt to mimic him, crouching awkwardly, muscles trembling, but your movements are loud, your eyes missing subtle signals. The animal bolts. Turi's glance is calm, almost patient, but you feel the sharp sting of inadequacy. Every failure is a reminder that survival here is earned through observation, knowledge, and instinct, not brute force. By midday, the sun breaks through the canopy, bringing oppressive heat. Mosquitoes swarm relentlessly, biting every exposed inch of skin. Sweat mixes with the grime of mud and leaves clinging to your body. The Yanomami remain unbothered, their movements precise, their patience infinite. You sweat futilely, itching and frustrated, painfully aware that even minor irritations could escalate into serious illness if not managed carefully. The forest presents another test, a fast-moving river swollen from recent rains. Turi crosses effortlessly, using balance, timing, and knowledge of the current. You follow, slipping repeatedly, nearly falling into the churning water. The river's roar fills your ears, and fear tightens in your chest. This simple crossing is a reminder that even the smallest mistake can have deadly consequences. Survival is not guaranteed, it is a constant negotiation with danger. Later, the group pauses near a cluster of fruiting trees. Turi teaches careful selection, some fruits are nourishing, others attract insects, some hide dangerous seeds. Every choice requires attention. You taste cautiously, noting subtle clues, learning the delicate art of reading the forest. One misstep could be fatal, ignorance is not an option. By afternoon, signs of a rival Yanomami clan appear. Conflict is avoided through subtle movements and gestures, but tension hangs in the air. You feel the precariousness of human life here. The forest is alive with both animal and human threats, and one poorly timed glance could provoke danger. The forest's rules are clear, only the vigilant survive. As evening falls, the group returns to the village. The fires burn low, huts provide shelter, but the forest remains a constant, silent threat. You are soaked, exhausted, and humbled. Watching the Yanomami tend children, repair shelters, and prepare food with calm precision, you feel the weight of your inexperience. Survival in this world is not about courage alone, it is about knowledge, vigilance, and respect for every living thing. Night descends, and the rainforest awakens. Frogs croak, insects drone, predators call in the distance. Sleep is uneasy, punctuated by sudden movements outside the hut. You have survived another day, but the lessons are growing harsher, and the forest is far from finished with you. Endurance, observation, patience, and humility will be tested further tomorrow. The 11th day begins with an uneasy dawn. Rain has fallen overnight, leaving the forest slippery and treacherous. You wake exhausted, your muscles sore, every joint stiff. Even standing feels like a struggle. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, moving with fluid grace, their senses finely tuned to the forest's subtle cues. You follow behind, painfully aware of your vulnerability in a world where one mistake can be fatal. Today's lesson is about extreme weather and its dangers. Turi leads the group deeper into the rainforest, pointing out signs of unstable terrain and hidden hazards. The ground is a slick mixture of mud and leaves, roots twist like snakes beneath your feet. The air is heavy with humidity and the scent of wet earth, making every breath feel like effort. You stumble repeatedly, catching yourself on vines and branches, while Turi moves like the forest itself flows through him. By mid-morning, the first warning signs appear, clouds darken overhead, and distant thunder rumbles. Turi pauses, instructing everyone to stay alert. The rainforest is alive with danger, and heavy rain can turn it into a deadly trap. Streams swell unpredictably, creating torrents that can sweep away the unwary. Slopes turn into slippery slides of mud, and fallen trees can conceal hidden predators. You realize that the forest tests not only your physical strength but your mental focus under pressure. As the storm approaches, the group reaches a hunting ground. Turi demonstrates how to track small animals despite the rain and swelling waters. You crouch, muscles trembling, trying to follow silently. A peccary rustles in the undergrowth, and you freeze, barely breathing. Your attempts to mimic Turi's stealth fail repeatedly, and the animal flees. Turi's glance is patient but firm, a silent reminder that survival requires skill, not luck. The rain begins in sheets, drenching you instantly. Mud clings to your clothes and skin. Streams become rivers, currents strong enough to knock you off balance. Turi moves effortlessly, balancing on logs, using vines for stability. You slip multiple times, your hands raw from grasping wet surfaces. The forest seems alive, testing your endurance, strength, and patience simultaneously. Every movement carries risk. By afternoon, the group pauses to gather food. Turi teaches you how to identify edible fruits, roots, and insects despite the storm. Some plants are safe, others deadly. One misjudgment could lead to poisoning. You taste cautiously, acutely aware of the stakes. Each decision is a lesson in vigilance. Suddenly, movement in the underbrush alerts the group, a jaguar is nearby, stalking silently. You freeze, heart pounding. The Yanomami shift instinctively, positioning themselves and shielding you. The predator watches for a tense moment, then disappears into the shadows. Your fear is palpable, your respect for the forest's power absolute. By evening, the storm subsides. The group returns to the village, drenched, mud-smeared, and exhausted. Fires burn low, huts provide temporary refuge, but the rainforest remains alive with hidden threats. Watching the Yanomami care for children, prepare food, and repair shelters, you feel both awe and humility. Survival is not about courage alone, it is knowledge, patience, and instinct honed over generations. Night falls, bringing the rainforest symphony, frogs croaking, insects droning, predators calling. Sleep is uneasy. Every sound, every rustle, reminds you that life here is a constant negotiation with danger. You have survived another day, but the lessons are growing harsher, the threats more deadly, and the forest is far from finished with you. Endurance, observation, and humility will be tested like never before. The 12th day begins under a heavy, gray sky. The forest is damp, suffused with the smell of wet earth and decomposing leaves. You wake sore and exhausted, muscles still aching from previous days. Every joint protests, and even standing feels laborious. The Yanomami, however, rise effortlessly, moving with the fluidity of creatures born to this environment. Their senses are finely attuned to the forest, every glance, every movement alert to danger, while you stumble behind, painfully aware of your vulnerability. Today's lesson is confronting predators, both human and animal. Turi leads the group through dense undergrowth, pointing out subtle signs of danger, faint footprints of jaguars, snake skins hidden beneath leaves, and broken twigs signaling human presence. Your heart pounds at every rustle, imagining venomous snakes, lurking jaguars, or rival hunters waiting to ambush. One misstep could be fatal, the forest is unforgiving. As you advance, Turi demonstrates hunting with precision and patience. A peccary rustles in the distance, and the Yanomami crouch, silent and focused. You try to mimic them, muscles trembling, but your movements are loud and clumsy, and the animal bolts. Turi kneels, whispers instructions, and demonstrates again. You realize that survival here demands not brute strength, but acute observation, patience, and instinct honed over years. By mid-morning, the humidity presses down with suffocating weight. Mosquitoes swarm relentlessly, biting exposed skin despite your attempts to swat them away. Sweat drips from your brow, mixing with mud and grime. You remember the warnings about malaria and other infections, realizing how fragile your body is in this environment. The forest's threats are invisible as well as visible, and survival requires constant vigilance. The group soon reaches a swollen river, its current fierce from the week's rains. Turi demonstrates how to cross safely, balancing with precision on wet logs and using vines for support. You follow cautiously, slipping multiple times, nearly plunging into the rushing water. The river is a harsh teacher, reminding you that even a small lapse in concentration can be deadly. Survival here is as much about mental focus as physical endurance. Later, the hunters pause near a cluster of fruiting trees. Turi teaches you which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which may conceal hidden dangers. Each decision carries risk, one misstep could be fatal. You taste cautiously, absorbing the lessons. The Yanomami thrive because they read the forest like a living guide, interpreting every subtle signal. You begin to grasp the depth of knowledge required to survive even a single day. By afternoon, signs of a rival Yanomami clan appear. Turi communicates silently with subtle gestures, ensuring no conflict erupts. You feel the precariousness of human life here. The forest is not only home to jaguars, snakes, and insects, it is also a stage for human conflicts over territory and resources. One wrong glance, one poorly timed movement, and you could become a target. As evening falls, the group returns to the village, drenched, mud-smeared, and utterly exhausted. Fires burn low, huts provide shelter, but the forest beyond remains a constant, living threat. You watch the Yanomami tend children, prepare food, and repair shelters with calm efficiency. You are painfully aware of your inexperience and fragility. Survival is not simply about courage, it is about patience, knowledge, instinct, and respect for the forest. Night descends, bringing the familiar symphony of the rainforest, frogs croaking, insects droning, predators calling in the distance. Sleep is uneasy, punctuated by rustling leaves and distant howls. You have survived another day, but the challenges ahead promise to be harsher. The forest's lessons continue, testing endurance, vigilance, and humility with increasing severity. The 13th day begins with the heavy scent of wet earth and decaying leaves. Overnight, Rain has soaked the forest, turning paths into slick, treacherous trails. You wake stiff, bruised, and exhausted. Every joint aches, every movement requires effort. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, moving as if the forest itself flows through them. Their senses are tuned to every sound, smell, and movement, while you stumble behind, painfully aware of how unprepared you are for life in this relentless environment. Today's lesson is survival under extreme conditions, including dangerous terrain and venomous creatures. Turi leads the group through a dense thicket where snakes often hide. He demonstrates how to detect subtle signs, slight shifts of leaves, faint scales glinting in the dim light, and the undisturbed patterns of soil that mark a creature's presence. Your pulse races at every rustle, every shadow. One wrong step could bring a venomous snake strike, a jaguar ambush, or injury on slick roots and vines. The forest is unforgiving, teaching through danger and vigilance. By mid-morning, you encounter a small pond teeming with insects. Turi explains which plants nearby can be used to treat minor bites or repel mosquitoes. You attempt to follow his careful instructions, but the swarm attacks relentlessly. Biting insects make it impossible to relax, reminding you that even the smallest creatures can threaten survival. You feel the creeping awareness that every day spent here, every bite, every misstep carries consequences far greater than in the world you knew. The group moves on toward a hunting ground. Turi demonstrates the patience and precision required to hunt. A peccary rustles in the distance, and the hunters crouch silently, blending into the environment. You attempt to mimic them, but your clumsy movements scare the animal away. Turi kneels, whispers instructions, and demonstrates once again. You realize that survival is earned not through effort alone but through observation, understanding, and instinct. Every movement matters, hesitation or recklessness can be fatal. By afternoon, the rain intensifies, sheets of water falling from the canopy. Streams swell into rushing currents. Turi shows you how to cross safely using logs and vines, moving with seemingly effortless balance. You follow, slipping repeatedly, nearly falling into the torrents. Fear grips you with every step, a sharp reminder of the constant dangers. The forest is both teacher and executioner, testing focus, strength, and mental resilience. Later, the group pauses at a fruiting tree. Turi teaches careful gathering, which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which may conceal hidden dangers. One misstep in identification could mean sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing every detail. The Yanomami thrive because they interpret the forest like a living map, seeing patterns and warnings invisible to outsiders. You begin to understand that survival requires more than physical endurance, it demands acute awareness and respect. As evening approaches, distant signs of a rival Yanomami clan appear. Turi communicates silently through subtle gestures, preventing conflict. The forest is not only home to jaguars, snakes, and insects but also to humans whose presence can be deadly. One wrong glance or poorly timed step could provoke aggression. You feel the precariousness of life in this environment more acutely than ever. Night falls. Fires burn low, huts offer temporary refuge, but the forest remains alive and threatening. Frogs croak, insects drone, predators call in the distance. Sleep is uneasy, every sound makes your heart race. You have survived another day, but the forest's lessons are only growing harsher. Endurance, vigilance, and humility will be tested like never before, and the next day promises challenges that could push you to the brink of survival. The 14th day begins with a dense, oppressive fog hanging over the rainforest. Every leaf glistens with moisture, every root slick with rain, and the air is thick with the scent of damp earth and decaying vegetation. You wake aching, muscles sore, and every joint stiff from the past day's exertions. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, their movements fluid and precise, eyes scanning for threats invisible to you. You follow behind, painfully aware of your vulnerability and the forest's merciless nature. Today's lesson is confronting the forest's deadliest predators. Turi leads the group toward an area known for jaguar activity. He whispers instructions on silent movement and observation, teaching you to notice subtle signs, broken twigs, disturbed leaves, faint tracks pressed into mud. Your heart pounds at every rustle, every shadow. One wrong step could trigger a fatal encounter. Survival here depends on vigilance, intuition, and respect for the forest's power. Hours pass in tense observation. A peccary rustles nearby. The Yanomami crouch, blending seamlessly with the environment. You try to mimic them, muscles trembling, but your movements are loud and awkward. The animal bolts. Turi kneels, corrects your stance, and demonstrates again. You realize survival is not about courage or strength alone, it is earned through knowledge, precision, and the ability to read subtle environmental cues. By midday, the forest grows humid and suffocating. Mosquitoes swarm relentlessly, biting any exposed skin. The Yanomami move unhindered, their bodies perfectly adapted to the environment. You itch and scratch, feeling every bite as a potential threat. The forest reminds you that danger is not always visible, malaria and other illnesses lurk invisibly, making every moment a test of awareness and resilience. The rain begins in sheets, turning paths into rivers and mud into slippery traps. Streams swell unpredictably. Turi crosses effortlessly, using balance and vines for support. You follow cautiously, slipping repeatedly, nearly plunging into the rushing water. The forest's lessons are harsh, even a minor mistake can have fatal consequences. Every movement requires focus, strength, and mental fortitude. Later, the group pauses near a fruiting tree. Turi teaches careful foraging, emphasizing which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which conceal hidden dangers. Every decision carries risk. One misstep could lead to poisoning. You taste cautiously, absorbing the knowledge that the Yanomami have honed over generations. Survival depends on interpreting the forest's patterns and respecting its rules. By afternoon, signs of a rival Yanomami clan appear. Turi communicates silently, ensuring no conflict arises, but tension crackles in the air. The forest is home not only to predators and poisonous creatures but also to humans whose presence can be deadly. One wrong glance or poorly timed movement could provoke violence. You feel the fragility of life here more acutely than ever. Evening arrives, and the group returns to the village, drenched, mud-smeared, and exhausted. Fires burn low, huts provide temporary refuge, but the forest remains alive with threats. You watch the Yanomami tend children, repair shelters, and prepare food, movements calm and deliberate. Survival is earned through vigilance, knowledge, and respect, not courage alone. Night descends. The rainforest awakens, frogs croak, insects drone, predators call. Sleep is uneasy, punctuated by every rustle in the undergrowth. You have survived another day, but the forest is relentless. The coming days promise even harsher lessons, sharper predators, more dangerous terrain, and the constant challenge of surviving alongside humans and animals alike. The 15th day dawns heavy with heat and humidity, the rainforest suffocating in its dense layers of vegetation. You wake exhausted, every muscle aching, joints stiff from the relentless pace of survival. The Yanomami rise as if the forest flows through them, moving with an effortless grace that contrasts sharply with your clumsy attempts to navigate roots, vines, and mud. Your vulnerability is palpable, you are painfully aware that even a small mistake could have deadly consequences. Today's lesson is about navigating the forest during extreme weather while avoiding its deadliest predators. Rain begins to fall almost immediately, turning paths into slippery channels of mud and creating unpredictable currents in streams. Turi demonstrates the delicate art of balance on logs and vines, showing how to read the forest floor for safe steps. You follow cautiously, slipping multiple times, scraping your skin on branches, nearly plunging into the churning streams. Each misstep reminds you that the rainforest is both teacher and executioner. The group moves deeper into the undergrowth. Turi points out subtle signs of jaguars and snakes, teaching you to interpret every rustle, shadow, and footprint. You try to mimic his techniques, crouching, moving silently, and observing every detail, but your inexperience is glaring. A twig snaps beneath your foot, and a peccary bolts from cover. Turi kneels beside you, correcting your stance and whispering instructions, reinforcing the lesson: survival is earned through observation, patience, and instinct, not brute force. By mid-morning, mosquitoes swarm relentlessly. You swat and scratch, feeling every bite as a potential threat. The Yanomami are unaffected, their movements precise, bodies adapted to the constant barrage. You realize that life here is a constant negotiation with visible and invisible dangers. Malaria, infection from minor wounds, and other illnesses are as deadly as predators and snakes. Awareness and vigilance are critical. The rain intensifies, transforming streams into rushing torrents. Turi leads the group to a small river crossing. He demonstrates precise steps across slick logs, using vines for support. You follow, muscles trembling, heart pounding with fear. One slip could plunge you into icy, fast-moving water. The forest tests both body and mind, concentration is as vital as strength. Later, the group pauses near fruiting trees. Turi demonstrates careful selection, which fruits are edible, which attract insects, and which might hide hidden dangers. Each choice carries risk, one misstep could lead to sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing lessons that the Yanomami have learned over generations. The forest is a map, a guide, and a teacher, and your survival depends on reading it correctly. By afternoon, signs of a rival Yanomami clan appear. Turi communicates silently with subtle gestures, preventing conflict. The forest is not only home to jaguars, snakes, and insects but also to humans whose presence can be deadly. One poorly timed movement could provoke aggression. You feel the fragility of life in this environment more acutely than ever. Evening arrives, and the group returns to the village, soaked, exhausted, and humbled. Fires burn low, huts provide shelter, but the forest beyond remains alive with threats. Watching the Yanomami tend children, repair shelters, and prepare food with practiced calm, you realize survival here requires knowledge, patience, vigilance, and respect for every living thing. Night falls. The rainforest awakens, frogs croak, insects drone, predators call. Sleep is uneasy. Every sound keeps your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's lessons are far from over. The coming days promise even harsher challenges: extreme weather, dangerous hunts, and confrontations with both humans and predators. The fight for survival continues. The 16th day begins under a low, stormy sky. Thunder rumbles in the distance, and the air is thick with humidity and the scent of wet earth. You wake drenched, exhausted, muscles aching from constant strain. Every joint protests, and each movement is a reminder of your fragility. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, moving with fluid precision. Their eyes scan every shadow, every leaf, every rustle of the undergrowth. You follow behind, painfully aware that your mistakes could be deadly. Today's lesson is extreme survival under natural threats, storms, lightning, and venomous creatures. Turi leads the group through dense forest, teaching how to interpret signs of approaching storms, the scent of rain-soaked earth, shifts in animal behavior, and changes in wind patterns. Every leaf, every sound, becomes a potential warning. You struggle to stay vigilant, muscles trembling, heart pounding with every snap of a twig or distant rumble. The forest is a living teacher, merciless in its lessons. By mid-morning, the rain begins in sheets. Paths transform into rivers of mud, currents swell in small streams, and roots become slick traps. Turi crosses effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines for support. You follow cautiously, slipping repeatedly, scraping against branches, nearly losing your footing. The forest teaches that survival requires not just strength, but focus, patience, and acute awareness. One wrong step could be fatal. As you advance, Turi points out the presence of venomous snakes. Coiled beneath leaves or camouflaged among roots, they remain almost invisible. He shows you how to detect subtle signs: a shimmer of scales, a slight indentation in the mud, a faint scent. Your pulse races at every rustle, every movement. Fear mixes with adrenaline. You realize the smallest oversight could end your life. Survival here demands vigilance at every moment. By afternoon, the group pauses near a fruiting tree. Turi teaches careful selection, which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which may conceal hidden dangers. Every choice carries weight, one misjudgment could lead to sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing knowledge accumulated over generations. The forest is a guide and a teacher, and ignoring its lessons is not an option. Suddenly, distant cries signal the presence of a rival Yanomami clan. Turi communicates silently through subtle gestures, maintaining peace. The forest is not only home to jaguars, snakes, and insects, it is a stage for human conflict as well. One misstep, one poorly timed glance, could provoke aggression. You feel the fragility of life here more acutely than ever. As evening approaches, lightning flashes across the sky, illuminating the forest in brief, jagged bursts. The Yanomami move quickly but carefully, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. The forest is alive with danger, both natural and human. You are wet, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Watching the Yanomami prepare food, tend children, and repair shelters with calm precision, you grasp the scale of knowledge and skill required to survive even a single day. Night falls, bringing the familiar symphony of the rainforest, frogs croaking, insects droning, predators calling. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeps your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's tests are far from over. Endurance, vigilance, and humility will be pushed to their limits in the days to come, as the forest continues to challenge both your body and mind. The 17th day begins in a damp, oppressive fog. Overnight, rain has soaked the forest, leaving paths slick and treacherous. You wake stiff, sore, and exhausted, muscles screaming from the cumulative strain of days spent in constant vigilance. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, bodies moving as if they are part of the forest itself, every motion fluid and precise. You follow behind, painfully aware of how clumsy and exposed you are in this environment, where one mistake could be fatal. Today's lesson is survival amidst extreme natural hazards and encounters with deadly predators. Turi leads the group through dense undergrowth, teaching how to detect hidden dangers, coiled snakes beneath leaves, jaguar tracks pressed into mud, and subtle signs of human presence. Every rustle, every shadow, sets your heart racing. You realize that vigilance must be constant, one slip, one misstep, and the forest will punish. By mid-morning, the rain begins in earnest, soaking you instantly. Mud clings to your skin, vines wrap around your legs, and roots twist underfoot like traps. Turi navigates effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines for support. You stumble repeatedly, nearly plunging into rushing streams swollen from the rain. The forest is a harsh teacher, reminding you that survival requires not only physical strength but mental focus, patience, and acute awareness. As the group advances, Turi points out the presence of venomous snakes camouflaged in the undergrowth. He teaches you to identify subtle cues, a glint of scales, a faint indentation in the soil, the way leaves are disturbed. Your pulse quickens with every rustle, your senses heighten to an almost unbearable degree. You are acutely aware that even a single misstep could mean death. By afternoon, the group pauses near a fruiting tree. Turi demonstrates careful foraging, which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which may conceal hidden dangers. Every decision is critical. One error could lead to sickness or worse. You taste cautiously, absorbing the centuries of accumulated knowledge that allow the Yanomami to survive in such a harsh and unforgiving environment. Suddenly, distant cries signal the approach of a rival Yanomami clan. Turi communicates silently with the group, using subtle gestures to maintain peace. The forest is not only home to jaguars, snakes, and insects, it is also a stage for human conflicts. One poorly timed glance or wrong step could provoke aggression. You feel the precariousness of your existence more sharply than ever. As evening falls, lightning streaks across the sky, illuminating the forest in brief, blinding flashes. The group moves quickly but carefully, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. The forest is alive with danger on all sides: predators, poisonous creatures, and rival humans. You are wet, muddy, exhausted, and profoundly humbled. Watching the Yanomami tend children, repair huts, and prepare food with calm precision, you begin to understand the depth of skill and knowledge required to survive in this world. Night arrives, bringing the familiar symphony of the rainforest: frogs croaking, insects droning, and predators calling in the distance. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeps you alert, heart racing. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's lessons are intensifying. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are tested beyond your imagination, and the days to come promise challenges even deadlier than those you have faced so far. The 18th day begins with oppressive heat and thick, damp air. The rainforest is alive, every leaf dripping with moisture, every root slick with mud. You wake sore, muscles screaming, joints stiff from the relentless days of survival. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, moving with fluid grace and acute awareness, scanning every shadow, every movement. You follow behind, painfully conscious of your inexperience and fragility in this hostile environment. Today's lesson is about surviving swarms of biting insects, extreme heat, and encounters with dangerous wildlife. The Yanomami teach you how to protect yourself from the relentless onslaught of mosquitoes, many carrying malaria. Turi shows you how to use leaves, mud, and natural repellents, but every exposed inch of skin is a target. You swat and scratch, feeling each bite as a small, urgent reminder of the forest's constant threats. By mid-morning, the group enters an area thick with undergrowth. Turi points out hidden dangers: coiled snakes camouflaged among the leaves, jaguar tracks pressed into the mud, and subtle signs of rival humans. Your heart races with every rustle, your senses on high alert. One careless step could mean a venomous bite or a sudden encounter with a predator. You realize that the rainforest tests not only your body but your mental resilience. Every decision, every movement, carries the weight of life or death. The rain begins suddenly, heavy sheets that drench you instantly. Streams swell into torrents, and the ground becomes treacherous. Turi moves with ease, balancing on logs and using vines for stability. You slip repeatedly, scrape your skin on branches, and nearly fall into a rushing current. Each misstep reinforces the forest's lesson: survival depends on focus, patience, and respect for the environment. One error can be fatal. Later, the group pauses at a fruiting tree. Turi demonstrates careful foraging: which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which might hide dangers. Every decision is crucial. One mistake could lead to sickness or even death. You taste cautiously, absorbing knowledge accumulated over generations. The Yanomami's survival depends on reading the forest as a living map, noticing every subtle sign that a stranger would miss. By afternoon, cries echo through the undergrowth, signs of a rival Yanomami clan. Turi communicates silently through subtle gestures, guiding the group and preventing conflict. The forest is a stage not only for predators but also for human rivalry. One poorly timed glance or step could provoke aggression. You feel the precariousness of life here more sharply than ever. As evening approaches, lightning streaks across the sky, illuminating the forest in brief, jagged flashes. The group moves quickly but cautiously, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. The forest is alive with threats: predators, poisonous creatures, and rival humans. You are wet, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Observing the Yanomami care for children, repair huts, and prepare food with calm precision, you understand the depth of knowledge, skill, and vigilance required to survive here. Night falls. The rainforest awakens: frogs croak, insects drone, predators call. Sleep is uneasy, punctuated by every rustle. You have survived another day, but the forest's tests intensify. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are pushed further than ever, and the coming days promise challenges that will push you to the very edge of survival. The 19th day begins under a heavy, gray sky. The forest is soaked from overnight rain, leaving every path slick and treacherous. You wake exhausted, muscles aching, joints stiff from the relentless strain of survival. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, their bodies flowing with the forest's rhythm, eyes scanning every leaf, shadow, and movement. You follow behind, painfully aware of your vulnerability and the constant danger surrounding you. Today's lesson is surviving extreme storms and the forest's deadliest creatures. Turi leads the group through dense undergrowth, teaching you to interpret subtle warning signs, the faint scent of rain in the air, shifts in animal behavior, the trembling of leaves in the wind. Every rustle and shadow sets your pulse racing. One misstep, one overlooked cue, and the forest can strike without warning. Survival demands constant vigilance, focus, and patience. By mid-morning, the rain begins in earnest. Paths become rivers, mud clings to your clothes and skin, and roots twist treacherously underfoot. Turi crosses slick logs and swollen streams with effortless balance. You follow cautiously, slipping repeatedly, scraping your skin on branches, nearly falling into fast-moving water. The forest is relentless, reminding you that even a single mistake can be fatal. Survival is not just physical, it is mental, demanding acute awareness and calm under pressure. As you advance, Turi points out coiled, venomous snakes hidden beneath leaves and camouflaged among roots. He teaches you how to spot subtle signs, a glint of scales, an indentation in the soil, or disturbed foliage. Your heart pounds at every movement around you. Fear sharpens your senses. One wrong step could end your life. You realize how fragile humans are in this environment, and how much skill is required to survive. By afternoon, the group pauses near a fruiting tree. Turi demonstrates careful foraging, which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which might conceal hidden dangers. Every decision carries weight, one misjudgment could lead to sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing the accumulated wisdom of generations. The forest is a living guide, and survival depends on understanding its hidden patterns. Suddenly, distant cries alert you to a rival Yanomami clan nearby. Turi communicates silently through subtle gestures, guiding the group and preventing confrontation. The forest is alive with human and animal threats alike. One poorly timed glance or step could provoke aggression. You feel the precariousness of life more acutely than ever. Evening arrives, lightning streaking across the sky, illuminating the rainforest in harsh flashes. The group moves carefully, securing shelter and navigating the dangerous terrain. The forest is alive with predators, poisonous creatures, and potential human conflict. You are drenched, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Watching the Yanomami tend children, repair shelters, and prepare food with calm precision, you understand the level of knowledge, skill, and vigilance required to survive in this world. Night falls. The rainforest awakens, frogs croak, insects drone, predators call. Sleep is uneasy, punctuated by every rustle of the undergrowth. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's lessons are growing harsher. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are tested continuously, and the coming days promise even deadlier challenges, pushing you closer to the edge of survival. The 20th day begins with the forest shrouded in a heavy, gray mist. Moisture drips from every leaf, roots glisten with rain, and the air feels thick and suffocating. You wake exhausted, muscles sore and stiff, your body protesting after weeks of relentless survival. The Yanomami rise with ease, moving with fluid precision and alertness, their eyes scanning every shadow, every movement. You follow behind, painfully aware of your inexperience and fragility in this unforgiving environment. Today's lesson is survival against the forest's most dangerous predators and extreme weather. Turi leads the group deeper into the jungle, pointing out subtle signs of danger, faint footprints of jaguars, coiled snakes hidden beneath leaves, and broken branches signaling human activity. Your pulse quickens with every rustle, every movement. The forest demands constant vigilance, one mistake could be fatal. By mid-morning, the rain begins in sheets. Mud clings to your skin and clothing, and the ground becomes treacherous. Streams swell into rushing torrents. Turi moves effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines to navigate unstable terrain. You follow cautiously, slipping repeatedly, scraping your skin on roots and branches, nearly plunging into the water. Each misstep reinforces the lesson: survival depends on focus, patience, and respect for the environment. As the group advances, Turi points out venomous snakes concealed in the undergrowth. He demonstrates how to identify subtle cues: a shimmer of scales, a slight indentation in the mud, a leaf disturbed in the wrong way. Every rustle sends a jolt of fear through you. You realize that the smallest lapse in attention could mean death. Survival requires not just physical strength, but constant awareness and quick reflexes. By afternoon, the group pauses near a fruiting tree. Turi teaches careful foraging: which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which might conceal hidden dangers. Every choice is crucial. One misjudgment could lead to sickness or even death. You taste cautiously, absorbing the centuries of knowledge that allow the Yanomami to thrive in this harsh environment. The forest is alive with lessons, and understanding them is essential for survival. Suddenly, distant cries signal the presence of a rival Yanomami clan. Turi communicates silently with subtle gestures, ensuring no conflict erupts. You feel the precariousness of human life here. The forest is a stage for both predators and human rivalry, and one poorly timed glance or step could provoke violence. Awareness and restraint are as vital as physical skill. Evening arrives, lightning flashing across the sky, illuminating the rainforest in brief, blinding bursts. The Yanomami move quickly but carefully, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. The forest is alive with threats: predators, poisonous creatures, and potential human conflict. You are wet, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Watching the Yanomami tend children, repair shelters, and prepare food with calm efficiency, you understand the extraordinary knowledge and vigilance required to survive here. Night falls. The rainforest awakens: frogs croak, insects drone, predators call in the distance. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeping your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's lessons are intensifying. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are tested to their limits, and the days to come promise challenges that could push you to the very edge of survival. The 21st day dawns heavy with humidity, the rainforest alive with the scent of wet earth and decomposing leaves. You wake stiff and sore, muscles aching from the relentless demands of survival. Every movement feels laborious, each step a reminder of your fragility. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, their bodies moving with the fluid grace of creatures perfectly attuned to the forest. You follow behind, painfully aware of how unprepared you are for this harsh, unpredictable environment. Today's lesson is surviving encounters with extreme natural hazards and the forest's deadliest predators. Turi leads the group through dense undergrowth, teaching you to read subtle signs: a faint glint of scales indicating a hidden snake, broken branches marking jaguar territory, and the slight disturbances in leaves hinting at rival human presence. Your senses are heightened, heart racing with every sound. One mistake here could be fatal. By mid-morning, heavy rain begins. The forest becomes a slippery, treacherous maze. Streams swell into rushing currents, roots twist and threaten your footing, and mud clings to your skin. Turi moves effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines to navigate dangerous terrain. You follow, slipping repeatedly, scraping against branches, nearly plunging into fast-moving water. The forest teaches harsh lessons: survival requires focus, patience, and acute awareness, not just strength. As the day progresses, Turi points out venomous snakes, carefully coiled among leaves or camouflaged in mud. He instructs you on detecting subtle cues: a shimmer of scales, a tiny indentation, or the pattern of disturbed foliage. Every rustle sends a jolt of fear through you. One lapse in attention, one misstep, and you could die. The rainforest's deadly lessons are constant, pressing your senses and endurance to their limits. By afternoon, the group pauses near fruiting trees. Turi demonstrates careful foraging, which fruits are edible, which attract insects, and which may hide hidden dangers. Each decision is crucial, one misjudgment could lead to sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing the centuries of knowledge that allow the Yanomami to thrive. The forest is alive with both visible and invisible lessons, and understanding them is the key to survival. Suddenly, distant cries indicate a rival Yanomami clan nearby. Turi communicates silently with subtle gestures, maintaining peace and guiding the group safely. The forest is a stage not only for predators and venomous creatures but also for human conflict. One poorly timed glance or wrong movement could provoke aggression. You feel the precariousness of life here more acutely than ever. Evening falls. Lightning flashes across the sky, illuminating the rainforest in jagged bursts. The Yanomami move quickly, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. Predators, poisonous creatures, and human threats surround you. You are drenched, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Observing the Yanomami tend children, repair shelters, and prepare food with calm precision, you begin to understand the extraordinary knowledge and vigilance required to survive in this environment. Night arrives, bringing the familiar symphony of frogs, insects, and distant predators. Sleep is uneasy, every rustle keeping your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's lessons grow harsher. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are tested to the limit, and the days ahead promise challenges that could push you to the brink of survival. The 22nd day begins with the forest wrapped in a heavy, misty gloom. Every leaf drips with rain, and the ground is slick with mud and rotting vegetation. You wake exhausted, muscles aching, joints stiff from days of unrelenting vigilance. The Yanomami rise with effortless grace, moving as if the forest itself flows through them. Every glance, every movement is precise, every sense attuned to danger. You follow behind, painfully aware of your vulnerability and lack of experience. Today's lesson is surviving extreme weather, dangerous predators, and hidden hazards all at once. Turi leads the group into dense undergrowth, teaching you to detect subtle warning signs, slight movements in the foliage, faint glints of scales, footprints pressed into mud, and distant rustlings that may indicate jaguars or snakes. Every sound and shadow sets your pulse racing. One lapse in attention could mean fatal consequences. By mid-morning, sheets of rain begin to fall, drenching you instantly. Paths are rivers of mud, streams swell unpredictably, and roots twist treacherously underfoot. Turi moves effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines to navigate the dangerous terrain. You slip repeatedly, scrape your skin, nearly fall into rushing water, and realize the forest will not forgive carelessness. Survival depends on focus, patience, and reading every subtle cue the environment offers. As you move deeper, Turi points out venomous snakes camouflaged among leaves or partially buried in mud. He demonstrates how to detect subtle cues, a shimmer of scales, the slightest indentation, or the pattern of disturbed foliage. Your heart pounds with every rustle. One misstep, one misread signal, and your life could end instantly. The rainforest is alive with lessons, pressing your body and mind to their limits. By afternoon, the group pauses near a cluster of fruiting trees. Turi demonstrates careful foraging, which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which might hide venomous creatures. Every choice carries risk, one misjudgment could lead to sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing the centuries of knowledge that allow the Yanomami to survive. The forest is a guide and a teacher, and ignoring its signs is deadly. Suddenly, distant cries signal a rival Yanomami clan approaching. Turi communicates silently, guiding the group and preventing confrontation. The forest is not only home to predators and venomous creatures but also a stage for human conflicts. One poorly timed glance, one misstep, could provoke aggression. You feel the fragility of your life more acutely than ever. Evening falls, lightning flashing across the sky, illuminating the forest in jagged bursts. The Yanomami move swiftly and carefully, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. The rainforest is alive with danger, predators, poisonous creatures, and potential human threats. You are drenched, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Observing the Yanomami 10 children, repair huts, and prepare food with calm precision, you understand the extraordinary knowledge and vigilance required to survive here. Night arrives. Frogs croak, insects drone, predators call. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeping your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's lessons grow harsher, testing endurance, vigilance, and humility. The coming days promise challenges even deadlier, pushing you to the edge of survival. The 23rd day dawns under a heavy, gray sky. The rainforest is soaked from overnight rain, every leaf glistening, every root slick with mud. You wake stiff and sore, muscles aching, joints protesting after weeks of relentless survival. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, moving as if part of the forest itself, eyes scanning every shadow, every movement. You follow behind, painfully aware of your fragility and inexperience. Today's lesson is survival under extreme weather and encounters with the forest's most dangerous predators. Turi leads the group through dense undergrowth, teaching you to read subtle signs, faint glints of scales from hidden snakes, broken branches marking jaguar paths, and disturbed leaves indicating human presence. Every sound, every shadow sets your heart racing. One misstep could be fatal. By mid-morning, heavy rain begins. Paths transform into treacherous mud rivers, streams swell unpredictably, and roots twist underfoot. Turi navigates effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines for stability. You follow, slipping repeatedly, scraping your skin on branches, nearly falling into fast-moving water. The rainforest's lessons are brutal, survival depends on focus, patience, and reading every subtle cue. One mistake can be deadly. As the group moves, Turi points out venomous snakes hidden among leaves or buried in mud. He shows how to detect subtle cues, the shimmer of scales, a slight indentation in the ground, or the pattern of disturbed foliage. Your pulse quickens with every rustle. One misstep, one overlooked sign, could end your life. Survival here is a constant test of awareness, reflexes, and mental resilience. By afternoon, the group pauses near fruiting trees. Turi teaches careful foraging, which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which may conceal venomous creatures. Every decision carries risk, one misjudgment could result in sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing centuries of accumulated knowledge that allow the Yanomami to thrive. The forest is alive with lessons, and understanding them is vital. Suddenly, distant cries signal a rival Yanomami clan approaching. Turi communicates silently, ensuring the group avoids conflict. The forest is a stage for predators, venomous creatures, and human rivalry. One poorly timed glance or misstep could provoke aggression. You feel the precariousness of life here more acutely than ever. Evening falls, lightning flashing across the sky, illuminating the forest in jagged bursts. The Yanomami move swiftly but carefully, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. The rainforest is alive with danger on all sides, predators, poisonous creatures, and potential human threats. You are drenched, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Watching the Yanomami 10 children, repair huts, and prepare food with calm precision, you understand the extraordinary knowledge, skill, and vigilance required to survive. Night arrives. Frogs croak, insects drone, predators call. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeps you alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's tests intensify. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are pushed to their limits. The coming days promise even deadlier challenges, pushing you closer to the edge of survival. The 24th day begins in the oppressive heat of the rainforest. Moisture clings to your skin, the air heavy and suffocating. You wake aching, every muscle and joint protesting after weeks of continuous exertion. The Yanomami rise with effortless grace, moving fluidly through the dense foliage, eyes scanning every shadow, every leaf, every movement. You follow behind, painfully aware of your fragility and the forest's unforgiving nature. Today's lesson is surviving extreme weather and the forest's deadliest predators while maintaining vigilance against rival humans. Turi leads the group through dense undergrowth, pointing out subtle cues, the glint of a hidden snake, jaguar tracks pressed into soft mud, and disturbances in leaves that indicate human activity. Your pulse quickens with every rustle. One careless step, one misread sign, and survival could slip away. By mid-morning, rain begins to pour. Paths turn into rivers of mud, streams swell, and roots twist treacherously beneath your feet. Turi navigates effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines to maintain stability. You follow cautiously, slipping repeatedly, scraping your skin on branches, nearly plunging into rushing water. Each misstep reinforces the harsh reality: survival depends on awareness, patience, and respect for the forest. As the group progresses, Turi points out venomous snakes carefully camouflaged in the undergrowth. He demonstrates how to read subtle cues: a shimmer of scales, a slight indentation in the soil, or leaves displaced unnaturally. Every rustle sends fear through your body. One lapse, one overlooked detail, and the consequences could be fatal. The rainforest tests both mind and body relentlessly. By afternoon, the group pauses near fruiting trees. Turi demonstrates careful foraging: which fruits are edible, which attract insects, and which might conceal hidden dangers. Every choice is critical: one mistake could lead to illness or worse. You taste cautiously, absorbing the centuries of accumulated knowledge that allow the Yanomami to survive in such a hostile environment. The forest is alive with lessons, and ignoring them is deadly. Suddenly, distant cries signal the presence of a rival Yanomami clan. Turi communicates silently with subtle gestures, guiding the group to avoid confrontation. The forest is not only home to predators and poisonous creatures, but also a stage for human conflict. One poorly timed glance or misstep could provoke aggression. You feel the fragility of life more acutely than ever. Evening falls. Lightning streaks across the sky, illuminating the rainforest in harsh, jagged flashes. The Yanomami move quickly and carefully, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. The forest is alive with danger: predators, venomous creatures, and potential human threats surround you. You are soaked, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Watching the Yanomami tend children, repair huts, and prepare food with calm precision, you grasp the immense skill and knowledge required to survive in this environment. Night arrives. The rainforest awakens: frogs croak, insects drone, predators call in the distance. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeps your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's tests continue, growing harsher. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are pushed to their limits, and the coming days promise challenges that may push you closer to the edge of survival than ever before. The 25th day begins under a sky thick with clouds, the rainforest heavy and oppressive. Moisture drips from every leaf, the ground is slippery with mud, and the air is thick with the scent of wet earth. You wake exhausted, muscles sore, joints stiff, every movement a painful reminder of the relentless demands of survival. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, moving with the fluid grace of creatures fully attuned to the forest. Every glance, every step, every motion is precise. You follow behind, painfully aware of your fragility and inexperience. Today's lesson is survival in the face of extreme natural hazards, dangerous predators, and the constant threat of human conflict. Turi leads the group deeper into dense undergrowth, teaching you to read subtle signs: faint glimmers of scales from hidden snakes, jaguar tracks pressed into soft mud, and displaced leaves hinting at rival human activity. Every sound, every shadow sets your heart racing. One misstep, one overlooked detail, and survival could slip away instantly. By mid-morning, heavy rain begins, drenching you instantly. Paths transform into treacherous rivers of mud, streams swell unpredictably, and roots twist dangerously beneath your feet. Turi navigates effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines for stability. You follow, slipping repeatedly, scraping your skin on branches, nearly plunging into rushing water. The rainforest's lessons are brutal. Survival requires focus, patience, and acute awareness, not just strength. As the group advances, Turi points out venomous snakes carefully camouflaged in the undergrowth. He demonstrates how to detect subtle cues, a shimmer of scales, a faint indentation in the soil, or unnatural leaf disturbance. Your pulse races with every rustle. One lapse in attention could be fatal. The rainforest is alive with lessons, pressing both mind and body to their limits. By afternoon, the group pauses near fruiting trees. Turi demonstrates careful foraging, which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which might conceal hidden dangers. Every decision carries risk. One error could lead to illness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing generations of knowledge that allow the Yanomami to survive in this unforgiving environment. The forest is a living teacher, and ignoring its lessons is deadly. Suddenly, distant cries signal the approach of a rival Yanomami clan. Turi communicates silently, guiding the group to avoid conflict. The forest is a stage not only for predators and poisonous creatures but also for human rivalry. One poorly timed glance or misstep could provoke aggression. You feel the fragility of life more acutely than ever. Evening falls. Lightning flashes across the sky, illuminating the rainforest in jagged bursts. The Yanomami move quickly but carefully, securing shelter and navigating safer paths. Predators, venomous creatures, and potential human threats surround you. You are wet, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Watching the Yanomami tend children, repair shelters, and prepare food with calm precision, you understand the extraordinary knowledge, skill, and vigilance required to survive. Night arrives. The rainforest awakens, frogs croak, insects drone, predators call. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeps your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's tests grow harsher. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are pushed to the limits. The coming days promise challenges that may push you closer to the edge of survival than ever before. The 26th day begins under a sky heavy with storm clouds. The rainforest is alive with the scent of wet earth, and every leaf drips with rain. You wake stiff, sore, and exhausted, your body protesting after nearly a month of relentless survival. The Yanomami rise with effortless grace, moving fluidly through the dense foliage, eyes scanning every shadow, every movement. You follow behind, painfully aware of your inexperience and fragility in this unforgiving environment. Today's lesson is survival amidst extreme natural hazards, dangerous predators, and human threats. Turi leads the group through dense undergrowth, teaching you to read subtle signs, faint tracks of jaguars pressed into mud, coiled snakes hidden beneath leaves, and subtle disturbances indicating rival human presence. Every rustle, every shadow, sets your pulse racing. One mistake could prove fatal. By mid-morning, heavy rain begins, turning paths into rivers of mud. Streams swell unexpectedly, and roots twist treacherously underfoot. Turi moves effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines to navigate dangerous terrain. You follow cautiously, slipping repeatedly, scraping your skin on branches, nearly plunging into fast-moving water. The rainforest is merciless. Survival requires focus, patience, and keen observation, not just strength. As you move deeper, Turi points out venomous snakes camouflaged among leaves or partially buried in mud. He demonstrates how to detect subtle cues, the shimmer of scales, a slight indentation, or disturbed foliage. Each rustle makes your heart leap. One misstep could end your life instantly. The rainforest is alive with lessons, pressing your body and mind to their limits. By afternoon, the group pauses near fruiting trees. Turi demonstrates careful foraging, which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which might hide venomous creatures. Every decision is crucial, one misjudgment could lead to illness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing the centuries of knowledge that allow the Yanomami to thrive. The forest is a teacher, its lessons both constant and unforgiving. Suddenly, distant cries signal a rival Yanomami clan nearby. Turi communicates silently, guiding the group to avoid conflict. The forest is a stage for predators, poisonous creatures, and human rivalry. One poorly timed glance or misstep could provoke aggression. You feel the precariousness of life more acutely than ever. Evening falls. Lightning streaks across the sky, illuminating the rainforest in sharp, jagged flashes. The Yanomami move swiftly but carefully, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. Predators, poisonous creatures, and human threats surround you. You are drenched, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Watching the Yanomami tend children, repair shelters, and prepare food with calm precision, you grasp the immense knowledge and vigilance required to survive in this environment. Night arrives. The rainforest awakens, frogs croak, insects drone, predators call in the distance. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeps your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's tests intensify. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are pushed to the limits, and the coming days promise even deadlier challenges, pushing you closer to the edge of survival. The 27th day begins under a sky dense with storm clouds. The rainforest is alive with the scent of wet earth, every leaf dripping with moisture, and the ground slick with mud. You wake sore, muscles aching, joints stiff from weeks of unrelenting strain. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, moving fluidly through the dense foliage, eyes scanning every shadow, every movement. You follow behind, painfully aware of your vulnerability and inexperience in this unforgiving environment. Today's lesson is survival against the forest's most dangerous predators, extreme weather, and the constant threat of human conflict. Turi leads the group through dense undergrowth, teaching you to detect subtle signs, faint jaguar tracks pressed into soft mud, coiled snakes hidden beneath leaves, and disturbed foliage signaling rival human presence. Every rustle, every shadow, makes your heart pound. One misstep could be fatal. By mid-morning, heavy rain begins, transforming paths into rivers of mud, streams swelling unpredictably. Roots twist treacherously beneath your feet. Turi navigates effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines for stability. You follow cautiously, slipping repeatedly, scraping your skin on branches, nearly plunging into rushing water. The rainforest is merciless. Survival demands focus, patience, and an acute awareness of the environment at all times. As the group moves deeper, Turi points out venomous snakes camouflaged in leaves or partially buried in mud. He demonstrates how to detect subtle cues, a shimmer of scales, a slight indentation in the soil, or the pattern of disturbed foliage. Your pulse races at every rustle. One careless step could end your life instantly. The rainforest is alive with lessons, pressing body and mind to their limits. By afternoon, the group pauses near fruiting trees. Turi teaches careful foraging, which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which may conceal venomous creatures. Every decision is critical, one misjudgment could lead to sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing the accumulated knowledge that allows the Yanomami to survive in this hostile environment. The forest is a living teacher, its lessons constant and unforgiving. Suddenly, distant cries signal the approach of a rival Yanomami clan. Turi communicates silently, guiding the group to avoid conflict. The forest is a stage for predators, poisonous creatures, and human rivalries. One poorly timed glance or misstep could provoke aggression. You feel the fragility of your life more acutely than ever. Evening falls, lightning flashing across the sky, illuminating the rainforest in jagged bursts. The Yanomami move quickly but carefully, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. Predators, poisonous creatures, and human threats surround you. You are soaked, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Watching the Yanomami tend children, repair huts, and prepare food with calm precision, you understand the extraordinary skill and vigilance required to survive. Night arrives. The rainforest awakens, frogs croak, insects drone, predators call. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeps your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's tests grow harsher. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are pushed to their limits, and the days to come promise challenges that may push you closer to the edge of survival than ever before. The 28th day begins under a sky heavy with storm clouds. The rainforest is soaked, the air thick and humid, every leaf dripping with rain. You wake exhausted, muscles aching, joints stiff from weeks of unrelenting survival. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, moving as if part of the forest itself, every sense alert, eyes scanning every shadow, every movement. You follow behind, painfully aware of your inexperience and fragility in this unforgiving environment. Today's lesson is surviving the rainforest's deadliest threats, extreme weather, venomous creatures, and large predators. Turi leads the group through dense undergrowth, teaching you to detect subtle signs of danger, faint jaguar tracks in soft mud, coiled snakes hidden beneath leaves, and displaced foliage hinting at rival human activity. Every rustle, every shadow, sets your pulse racing. One misstep could mean death. By mid-morning, rain begins in sheets. Paths turn into rivers of mud, streams swell unpredictably, and roots twist treacherously underfoot. Turi moves effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines for support. You follow cautiously, slipping repeatedly, scraping your skin, nearly plunging into rushing water. The rainforest is merciless, survival demands focus, patience, and constant awareness. As the day progresses, Turi points out venomous snakes concealed in the undergrowth. He demonstrates how to detect subtle cues, a glint of scales, a faint indentation, or leaves disturbed unnaturally. Every rustle makes your heart leap. One lapse in attention could be fatal. The forest is alive with lessons, pressing body and mind to their absolute limits. By afternoon, the group pauses near fruiting trees. Turi demonstrates careful foraging, which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which might hide venomous creatures. Each decision is critical, one misjudgment could lead to sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing centuries of knowledge that allow the Yanomami to survive. The forest is a teacher, and its lessons must never be ignored. Suddenly, distant cries signal a rival Yanomami clan approaching. Turi communicates silently, guiding the group to avoid conflict. The forest is a stage for predators, poisonous creatures, and human rivalry. One poorly timed glance or step could provoke aggression. You feel the fragility of life more acutely than ever. Evening falls. Lightning streaks across the sky, illuminating the rainforest in jagged bursts. The Yanomami move swiftly but carefully, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. Predators, venomous creatures, and potential human threats surround you. You are wet, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Observing the Yanomami tend children, repair huts, and prepare food with calm precision, you grasp the extraordinary skill and vigilance required to survive. Night arrives. Frogs croak, insects drone, predators call. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeps your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's challenges grow ever harsher. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are pushed to the limits, and the coming days promise trials that could push you closer to the edge of survival than ever before. The 29th day dawns under a sky heavy with storm clouds, the rainforest thick with mist and the scent of wet earth. You wake exhausted, muscles screaming, joints stiff from nearly a month of unrelenting survival. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, moving fluidly through dense foliage, eyes scanning every shadow, every movement. You follow behind, painfully aware of your inexperience and fragility in this unforgiving environment. Today's lesson is survival against the rainforest's most extreme hazards, deadly predators, venomous creatures, and violent storms. Turi leads the group into dense undergrowth, teaching you to read subtle signs, jaguar tracks pressed into soft mud, snakes coiled under leaves, and tiny disturbances in foliage signaling rival humans. Every rustle, every movement sets your pulse racing. One mistake here could mean death. By mid-morning, sheets of rain begin to pour. Paths transform into rivers of mud, streams swell unpredictably, and roots twist treacherously beneath your feet. Turi navigates effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines for stability. You follow cautiously, slipping repeatedly, scraping your skin, nearly plunging into rushing water. The rainforest does not forgive carelessness. Survival demands focus, patience, and constant vigilance. As the group advances, Turi points out venomous snakes carefully hidden among leaves or partially buried in mud. He demonstrates how to read subtle cues, a shimmer of scales, a faint indentation in the soil, or the unnatural arrangement of foliage. Every rustle sets your nerves on edge. One lapse in attention could end your life instantly. The forest is alive with lessons, pressing body and mind to their limits. By afternoon, the group pauses near fruiting trees. Turi demonstrates careful foraging, which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which may conceal venomous creatures. Every decision carries risk, one misjudgment could lead to sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing centuries of knowledge that allow the Yanomami to survive in this unforgiving environment. The forest is a relentless teacher, and understanding its lessons is essential for survival. Suddenly, distant cries signal a rival Yanomami clan approaching. Turi communicates silently, guiding the group to avoid conflict. The forest is a stage not only for predators and poisonous creatures but also human rivalries. One poorly timed glance or step could provoke aggression. You feel the precariousness of life more acutely than ever. Evening falls. Lightning streaks across the sky, illuminating the rainforest in jagged flashes. The Yanomami move swiftly but carefully, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. Predators, poisonous creatures, and human threats surround you. You are wet, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Watching the Yanomami tend children, repair shelters, and prepare food with calm precision, you understand the extraordinary knowledge, skill, and vigilance required to survive. Night arrives. The rainforest awakens, frogs croak, insects drone, predators call in the distance. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeps your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's challenges intensify. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are pushed to the limits. The coming days promise trials that could push you closer to the edge of survival than ever before. The 30th day begins under a sky heavy with dark storm clouds. The rainforest is soaked, the air thick and humid, and every leaf drips with rain. You wake exhausted, muscles aching, joints stiff from a month of relentless survival. The Yanomami rise with effortless grace, moving fluidly through dense foliage, eyes scanning every shadow, every movement. You follow behind, painfully aware of your inexperience and fragility in this unforgiving environment. Today's lesson is survival against the rainforest's deadliest challenges: massive predators, venomous creatures, and violent storms. Turi leads the group into dense undergrowth, teaching you to notice subtle cues: jaguar tracks pressed into soft mud, coiled snakes hidden under leaves, and tiny disturbances in foliage hinting at rival humans. Every rustle and shadow sets your pulse racing. One misstep could prove fatal. By mid-morning, heavy rain begins, turning paths into slippery mud rivers. Streams swell unpredictably, roots twist dangerously beneath your feet. Turi moves effortlessly, balancing on logs and using vines for stability. You follow cautiously, slipping repeatedly, scraping your skin, nearly plunging into rushing water. The rainforest is merciless, survival demands focus, patience, and constant vigilance. As the group advances, Turi points out venomous snakes carefully camouflaged in leaves or partially buried in mud. He demonstrates how to detect subtle cues: a shimmer of scales, slight indentations, or disturbed foliage. Every rustle sends your heart racing. One lapse in attention could end your life instantly. The forest is alive with lessons, pressing body and mind to their limits. By afternoon, the group pauses near fruiting trees. Turi demonstrates careful foraging: which fruits are safe, which attract insects, and which may hide venomous creatures. Every decision carries risk, one misjudgment could lead to sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing centuries of knowledge that allow the Yanomami to survive in this hostile environment. The forest is a relentless teacher, and ignoring its lessons can be fatal. Suddenly, distant cries signal a rival Yanomami clan approaching. Turi communicates silently, guiding the group to avoid confrontation. The forest is a stage for predators, poisonous creatures, and human rivalries. One poorly timed glance or step could provoke aggression. You feel the precariousness of life more acutely than ever. Evening falls. Lightning streaks across the sky, illuminating the rainforest in sharp, jagged flashes. The Yanomami move quickly but carefully, securing shelter and guiding you along safer paths. Predators, venomous creatures, and human threats surround you. You are soaked, muddy, exhausted, and humbled. Observing the Yanomami tend children, repair huts, and prepare food with calm precision, you understand the extraordinary knowledge, skill, and vigilance required to survive. Night arrives. The rainforest awakens, frogs croak, insects drone, predators call in the distance. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeps your senses alert. You have survived another grueling day, but the forest's tests intensify. Endurance, vigilance, and humility are pushed to the limits. The coming days promise even deadlier trials, pushing you closer to the edge of survival than ever before. The 32nd day begins under a sky darkened with rolling storm clouds, the rainforest pulsating with life and danger. You wake drenched from the previous night's downpour, every muscle screaming, joints stiff, and body trembling from fatigue. The past month has tested you in ways you never imagined, and yet the forest offers no mercy, only lessons, harsh and relentless. The Yanomami rise effortlessly, moving with the seamless grace of beings who have become one with the jungle. Their eyes scan every shadow, every movement, every subtle hint of danger. You follow behind, painfully aware that this final day may push you to the absolute limits of endurance and courage. Today's trial is survival in its purest, most extreme form, a convergence of deadly predators, venomous creatures, rival humans, and a violent storm capable of tearing the forest apart. Turi leads the group into the thickest, most treacherous part of the rainforest, teaching you to read every subtle sign, the faint glint of a jaguar's eyes reflected on wet leaves, the coiled shapes of deadly snakes hidden among roots, and the barely perceptible disturbance in foliage signaling human intruders. Every rustle, every shadow, makes your pulse spike. One mistake could be fatal. By mid-morning, rain pours relentlessly, turning the earth into slippery mud rivers, while swollen streams surge unpredictably. Roots twist and slip beneath your feet. Turi navigates with perfect balance, using vines to cross flooded paths, while you stumble behind him, soaked to the bone, scraping your skin, nearly swept away by rushing water. The forest is merciless. Focus, patience, and complete awareness are no longer optional, they are your only chance of survival. As the day progresses, Turi points out venomous snakes concealed in leaves and mud. He teaches you to notice the slightest cues, a shimmer of scales, an indentation in the soil, a subtle displacement of foliage. Every rustle sets your nerves on edge. One careless step could end your life instantly. The rainforest, relentless and alive, presses your body and mind to the ultimate test. By afternoon, the group reaches a cluster of fruiting trees. Turi demonstrates the delicate art of foraging, which fruits are edible, which attract insects, and which conceal venomous creatures. Every choice carries immense risk, one wrong move could lead to sickness or death. You taste cautiously, absorbing the knowledge passed down for generations, realizing that survival is a balance of skill, wisdom, and respect for the forest. Suddenly, cries echo from nearby, a rival Yanomami clan has discovered your presence. Turi communicates silently, coordinating the group to avoid conflict. You realize how fragile human life is here, one misstep, one glance, and aggression could erupt. The forest is a stage for predators, poisonous creatures, and human rivalries alike. Your heart races, adrenaline coursing through your veins. As evening falls, lightning streaks violently across the sky, illuminating the rainforest in jagged bursts. Thunder roars, and rain lashes down like needles. Trees bend under the storm's force, roots exposed, mud sliding away beneath your feet. The Yanomami move with calm precision, securing shelter, guiding you along safer paths, while the forest tests your endurance, courage, and resolve. You are soaked, muddy, exhausted, and humbled beyond words. Observing the Yanomami tend children, repair shelters, and cook food amid chaos, you grasp the extraordinary skill, knowledge, and vigilance required to survive in this unforgiving world. Night arrives. Frogs croak, insects drone, predators call, and the storm rages on. Sleep is uneasy, every sound keeping your senses alert. You have survived the forest's final trial, enduring the deadliest creatures, the most violent storms, and the constant threat of human conflict. Exhausted, battered, and transformed, you realize the true lesson of the Yanomami rainforest: survival is never guaranteed. It is earned every day through vigilance, skill, humility, and respect for the delicate balance of life. As the dawn breaks after the storm, the forest is quiet, almost reverent. You look around at the Yanomami, their serene expressions reflecting the harmony they have mastered with the jungle. And in that moment, you understand, you have survived, but only because you have learned to see the forest not as an enemy, but as a teacher, brutal yet endlessly wise. You would not have lasted a single day here before, but now, after 32 grueling trials, you leave with a lesson far deeper than survival. The rainforest demands respect, and life itself is fragile, fleeting, and infinitely precious.